There is no substitute for light when you find yourself in the dark. This is what I always tell my students, family, and friends whenever they ask me if a weapon-mounted light is actually really important. I get it, guys. They're expensive. You don't know which ones to get because they're big and bulky. You don't know what gun they go with. You don't know how to find a holster that'll work in conjunction with that specific gun and that specific light. And then when you do, you gotta buy that holster, and then don't even talk to me about trying to find ranges that'll actually let you go out and train at night. It's very tough to find, and if you can't train with the stuff, what good is it? I get it, guys. I hear you. I feel you. But the fact remains, despite all the excuses to put it off and to not go out and invest in a good weapon light and a good holster to work in conjunction with it, the fact is this. If you're in a potentially deadly situation, you need to be able to identify what's going on. You need to be able to know the difference between a rapist and a murderer in your house in the middle of the night, or just your brother who's stopping by to say hi because your cell phone died and he was worried about you. Happens all the time. So if you don't have a light to illuminate that situation, you might be in trouble. What I'm going to do over the next few months is I'm going to show you a handful of handheld lights and a buttload of weapon-mounted lights, and we're going to talk about them. But the one I'm going to start with today is probably my favorite. No, it's definitely my favorite. It's definitely one of the most expensive, and it's also the best. Let's take a look. Here it is, guys, the Surefire X300 Ultra Weapon Light. So, this is not a new light. I will say that right off the bat, okay? So, this is by no means going to be a video where I'm going to tell you a bunch of stuff you can't find somewhere else. This light has been talked about to excess over the past however many years they've been making this thing. They have updated the model, and I will show you an updated model in just a minute. This is actually an older model. I've had 4 of these lights, actually. And this one is the one I've had the longest. This is a 600 lumen. The updated one is 1,000 lumen. But why am I doing another video on an old product? Well, the fact is this, guys. This may be an old product, but it's still incredibly relevant today. As far as just straight up weapon lights go for handguns, this is it. This is number one. Is it great for concealed carry? No. It's very wide and very long, which I'll show you this on a few different guns so you could see that for yourself. But this is not a great weapon light for concealed carry, and that's the big downside to this. As far as everything else goes, it's pretty much perfect. The functionality, the reliability, the durability, okay? The lumens that this thing pushes out there, even just the 600 model, guys, this is bright, all right? They make these in 2 configurations, okay? They have the X300UA and the X300UB. They're both going to function the exact same way. The A and the B refer to how they're actually going to mount. I'll show you that probably in more detail over here on the table. Just know that with this model, you're going to have these 2 tabs right here and slide it on and it clicks in. And then with the B model, you actually have a set screw that you just go ahead and tighten down. The B model perhaps is a little bit more secure, whereas this one's a little easier for taking on and off, which I don't really know why you need to do that. But that being said, all of mine are the A model, so I don't have a B model to show you. Just know that that is an option out there, so if you're ordering it, keep that in mind. With that said, guys, I can't wait to go ahead and show you this, show you some of the updates they made on the newer models in the last couple years, and show you how this is going to look on some of your lights and in some of your holsters. So let's go ahead, take it to the desk, and take a look. Alright guys, so here's the X300 Ultra that I just showed you a minute ago. This is the 600 lumen model. It is the X300 Ultra A, but it's the 600 lumen model. They don't make that one anymore. They make it an 1,000 lumen model. So, here's the 1,000 lumen model on the gun. I'll show you what some of the differences are in this one here in just a minute. However, I first want to talk to you about an issue I had with this. When I first put it on the gun, it didn't fit snugly like all the other X300 Ultras I've had. It actually had a rattle. Hear that? Yeah. Didn't fit very well. I wasn't really happy with that. It wasn't going to fall off, but it certainly wasn't ideal. So, I went ahead and took a look at some of the attachments it comes with. Now, the standard attachment is going to work like this, okay? There's a plastic plate down here, and it's attached to these 2 tabs here on the side. And when I pull those tabs down, it depresses a spring that's captured right underneath this plate, and it pulls that down along with this crossbar right here. That crossbar, I'll show you actually on this gun, is what's actually going to go ahead and lock it in place inside the rail, okay? Now, The problem was, of course, that it just wasn't fitting right. So, all these flashlights are going to come with basically 3 different, well, I guess technically 4 different ways of attaching them. It's going to come with this one I just showed you right here on the 600 lumen model. It's going to come with a universal one, okay? That's what comes standard on it. It's also going to come with the same thing, only in Picatinny, all right? But then it comes with a 3rd and 4th option, and that's going to be the way this one is set up, all right? Now this is completely different. This is really no longer a real quick detach on and off type of a light anymore. If you have one that isn't fitting properly, you have to go ahead and take off all this stuff and reinstall this different one. It's not a big deal. I could have done it on camera. I decided not to because I thought it'd be boring. But if you guys want to see a video of me showing you how to actually install this, let me know and I'll go ahead and do that. Now, the way this one works is a little bit different. You see this cutout right here? Underneath there, there's a metal piece and a screw. You can access that screw right there. And as you tighten that screw, what's going to happen, and they do come with an Allen key so you could tighten that up. That will actually raise this plastic piece right here. So, once you actually put it, let me get this here, sorry. Once you actually slide it on, then you go ahead, push that crossbar in. That locks into place, but it's still loose. And then what you do is you go ahead and you take your Allen key right in there, and you tighten that down until it's tight as you want it, and then you're good to go. So no problem. It works now, and no serious issues. But here's the issue, guys. Going back on what I just said. Sorry. Here's the issue that you do potentially have. So, you see how the profile of this is going to look different now? These are a little bit wider, and they're just different shapes on both sides, okay? When you order holsters for these for guns that accommodate these lights, a lot of the time the holster manufacturers will make them very precise, okay? If you take a look at how they made that, they made it very specifically cut out for not only the X300 Ultra, but the X300 Ultra A model, okay? So if you try to put a B model in here, it's going to work so well. Now, they made it to accommodate the configuration it comes in, but they did not make it to accommodate the secondary configuration that is an option now. Now, it's possible, I honestly don't know, because this is an older holster, that they didn't even come with this option when they made this holster, okay? So, in defense of the holster manufacturer, that may not have even been an option. So, I'm not bad-mouthing the holster. This is a very unique problem. So, when I put this light on, and I went to put it in the holster, it wasn't fitting quite properly. I was able to kind of work with it a little bit, and it works better now, but in all honesty, it just doesn't quite feel right, and the retention isn't the way it seems like it should be. Now, I do want to clarify, this is not a specific issue with the 1000 lumen model. This is apparently an issue that they've been having with the X300 Ultras for a while. This just happens to be the first time I've experienced it, so just keep that in mind. Now, that is with this style of holster where they chose to very precisely mold it to the light. And just real quick, let me explain why they feel they need to do that. You see, normally Kydex holsters are going to utilize the trigger guard to actually retain the firearm. But because these weapon lights are actually wider than the trigger guard, in this case even wider than the entire gun, they can't do that anymore because they have to accommodate that space. So they are using the light for the retention, okay? Now, let's go to a different style. This is a fold-over design. That doesn't really have anything to do with it, except that with this particular design, it has 3 points of adjustment right here, okay? So you screw those down to tighten it up, loosen them up to do the same thing. Now, when I go ahead and I put this one in, it fits, rather with this one in, it fits better, okay? The reason for that is because the way they chose to design it. You notice how in this area right here, it's very precise. In this area over here, it's just more blocky. That's because this one's made to accommodate different types of attachment options. So for me, this one makes more sense. Now, this is difficult to do in this style of holster because this doesn't have adjustable retention, okay? With this one, I can just cinch it down, all right? You know that click you hear in some of the Kydex holsters, and everyone says, oh, you have to hear that click, you have to hear that click. Well, not necessarily. Yeah, you hear the click, all right? That means it's locked into place. But the way these work, I guess I didn't have to switch the light, but just want to show you because this is the other one. The way these work is that you don't hear that click, but it actually does hold it in there more secure because I can adjust the retention any way I want. So if you're looking to get one of these lights, I would highly recommend looking for a holster manufacturer that makes a light handgun combo holster for your setup. Sorry, I'm getting caught up in my words here. That will accommodate different attachment options. And of course, you can ask them about that. Now, if you already have the light, you'll already know if it works properly with your gun, so maybe that won't be an issue for you in the first place. I wanted to talk about that because I didn't see anybody else online talking about that. Maybe I just missed it. And yeah, I just wanted to address that for you guys. The other differences you're going to see in these two models, once again, this is the 600 lumen model, this is the 1000 lumen model, this is the one you'll find nowadays. The other difference I found here, obviously the lumens are going to be a little different. Now let me show you how these work real quick, guys. Up or down on either side is going to give you constant on. Okay, that's the same. Don't see any difference there. Press in on either one of these switches and you're going to get momentary on. Okay, you just do that with your thumb. That's all the same. The controls are the same, which is good because I like those controls. The difference is, as you probably already noticed, is the actual tabs themselves, the actual switches themselves. You see how these come to a little bit more of a point and these are a little more broad? This is the newer model. I like that because it makes it a little bit easier for me to get my thumb on there consistently. The one disadvantage for some people is the new one's a little bit shorter, okay? So if you have real short thumbs, that might be problematic. There is a company, I want to say Filster. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong about that. I should have looked that up beforehand. At any rate, they actually make aftermarket replacement switches for people who don't like the standard ones. So look into that if you're interested. I don't know a whole lot about it. I just know that I saw it recently on the gram or something. So those are going to be really your only differences in these two. The sizes are, as far as I could tell, and the measurements I took and the way they fit in the holster, the size is exactly the same. The only difference here is that I ended up having to switch out this. But if the fitment works on yours, then it will look just like this one, because this is the way it comes configured from the factory. Alright guys, last thing to consider is how this light's actually going to look on more compact guns. We already saw how it's going to look on the Glock 17, and I'll show you that again. That's a full-size handgun. If you go down to a 4-inch handgun, which is about as short as you're going to be able to get with these particular lights, this is what you're looking at. This is going to be just how it's going to look on the Glock 19 and 23 as well, guys. But this, however, is a Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 compact 4-inch model, which is, as I said, virtually the exact same size as the Glock 19. And as you can see, it's definitely going off of there a little bit more, stretching out past the barrel. Not really an issue, but for me, not a great option for concealed carry. Some guys do it. I can't manage to find any comfortable way of doing it for myself, okay? This is really just an over-the-waistband setup for me, and if I'm going over the waistband, I'm just going to go full size. You know, it is going to add width to pretty much any gun you attach it to, okay? And it's obviously going to add length as well. That's really the only serious downside to this light, guys. I just love the thing to death. They're reliable, they're rugged, they're not affordable, but you know what? Buy once, cry once. You're not going to have this light breaking down on you out in the range. And the customer service with Surefire is phenomenal, okay? That's about all I have to say for this light, guys. If you have any more questions about the different attachments or how they fit into holsters or any of that cool stuff, guys, let me know. As always, stay armed, stay safe. Have a great day.